So one of my friends in our playgroup posed a very interesting question, and I thought I'd tackle this question on my channel from a statistical perspective. The question goes as such. You are playing against RP as the runner. The corp shows you with Celebrity Gift 4 eyes and a future perfect. Do you break your back and bones trying to get into HQ to steal the future perfect, knowing that you have to play the side game and win it in order to steal it? So that's the question. The short answer to this question is very simple. It depends on the situation, the board state, and everything. I can't give you a generic answer, but here are some mathematical points to consider when you are faced with this choice. So let's analyze starting from R&D. Now, in the standard 49 card RP deck, there are 21 points of agendas. However, future perfects are not fake 3-pointers. In reality, they are 1-pointers for the runner, simply because you only steal them a third of the time. So the expected value of running R&D and seeing one card is roughly 0.3. This means that for every card you access, any random card, which R&D is, you will get 0.3 agenda points on average, which means you need roughly 22 to 23 R&D accesses to win the game. It's not very good. And that is the reality. This is why RP is so good, because the agendas protect themselves so well. We are not even considering NAPD contract here. The very fact that Future Perfect masquerades as a 1-pointer is huge. It really dilutes the agenda density. So how does this compare to the Celebrity Gift HQ hand, where there are 4 useless cards and a Future Perfect? Now, as I said, we model the Future Perfect as a 1-pointer, because you only steal a third of the time. This brings the expected value to, you guessed it, 0.2. 1 agenda point in 5 cards, that's 0.2. It's actually way worse than your expected value from running R&D. So does that mean you shouldn't run HQ in this case? Well, maybe. Let's compare some other scenarios. If there is, on the top you see, if there is a Future Perfect top deck on R&D, your expected value of running R&D again and seeing the Future Perfect again is 1.0, because, as I said, the Future Perfects were 1 point. So this is very good in comparison to the HQ's 0.2 and your normal R&D 0.3. If you know that there's a Future Perfect on the top of R&D, you should try your best to run it again, as long as you can afford the side game. What about a remote? As shown at the bottom, if there is a Nisei Mark II in a remote, your expected value of running that remote successfully is 2.0. Duh! That is the ideal. Of course, the corp's not going to let you get away with that so easily. Most likely, there'll be Caprice Niseis on your servers. So, Caprice Nisei, once again, just like Future Perfect, it cuts down your expected value of running by a third, because the other 2 out of 3 times, you just get put out of the server. So, the expected value of running R&D with a Caprice on it drops to 0.1. And for the remote, it drops from 2 to 0.66, which is still much better, far better than running R&D or HQ. So if there's one big lesson to take away from this, it's simple. Run the remote if you can. Of course, RP is designed to make it very hard to do so. If you want to contest the remote, not only do you need to win the side game, you also need to waste 1 click running a central server first. So while the expected value still stays at 0.66 for running a remote, it means that you do have to spend more resources getting to that remote, and that is why RP is such a conundrum to play against. But it's still your best option by far, because if you do not contest the remote, they'll get the Nisei Mark II, and guess what? All your probabilities, all your expected values will instantly drop to 0, because they can just end the run. You don't get any agendas from it. So you must do your best to get the Nisei Mark II. If the corp shows you a Nisei Mark II in their HQ, run for it. Get it as far as you can without compromising your ability to challenge the scoring remote. So, speaking of showing cards in HQ, as I mentioned, a single Future Perfect in HQ means that it's not really worth running, but even then, even if there are no other agendas, things might change depending on what you see in HQ. As I said, the corp usually Celebrity gives the hand early on. If there is, say, a Caprice Nisei in HQ, perhaps it might be worth it to run, and certainly worth it to legwork. Why? Because if you get rid of the Caprice Nisei, it means that they cannot use that Caprice Nisei to defend the other servers, which raises your probabilities, your expected values of running both R&D and the remote, depending on which server the Caprice would go to otherwise. So the more trashworthy assets there are in HQ, the higher your expected value of running. Sure, the number of agendas you get is still roughly 0.2 per run, but denying assets and valuable upgrades like Caprice Nisei from the corp does two things. Firstly, it denies them the ability to fortify the servers, which means it reduces the number of resources you need to get those expected values of agendas. And more importantly, by cutting down the hand size, it means that it's harder for them to get their next celebrity gift going because they need to draw up first before playing the gift. These subtle things always add up across the course of a game. So usually it turns out that running HQ is actually better than you think, especially in the early to mid stages. There's another thing about this. So far, we've assumed that HQ is reviewed via a celebrity gift. There is the other scenario where you make a random HQ run and you access a future perfect. The chance of your expected value of rerunning HQ is not 0.2. This is because the other 4 cards are not ice. Notice, if the corp did not celebrity give you a hand, if the other 4 cards are unknowns, your expected value of running HQ again is actually quite high. It's 0.43. It's more than your standard R&D run. So if you do see a future perfect in HQ and do not know what the other 4 cards are, it is probably worth rerunning again. But as I said, back to the same point earlier, do not sell your house, sell your car, give away all your assets and all your inheritances just to make the HQ run. Because then your opponent will top deck a Nisei, score it in a remote, and get a Nisei counter, and you come home running to me crying, "Hey, I followed your guy. That's the expected value. It's so high. I did it, and guess what? I lost terribly because they scored a Nisei. It's your fault." Yes, it's your fault, not mine. Why? Because you never ever want to give up scoring window against RP. With everything being so taxing, from the ice to the agenda stealing themselves to the Caprice side games, you don't ever want to find yourself floating on less than 5 credits. It's just asking for trouble. So take all these numbers with a pinch of salt. Expected values are exactly what they are. They serve as a guide, but you should use your in-game knowledge of the board state, and a sense of intuition would really help. If you feel that there are agendas in hand, by all means run it. Don't break your back doing so. My suggested strategy is to go for HQ early on as far as you can, because that is when you're most likely to find cards such as Sundew and Caprice Nisei in there when the corp cannot utilize them very well yet. As you go towards the mid and maybe late game, hopefully at our match point, because running R&D isn't a very good solution against RP. For the measly expected value you're getting out of R&D runs, you're actually opening up scoring windows for the corp because you're spending your resources that could have been used to threaten their scoring remote. And more often than not, there will be a Caprice Nisei guarding the R&D server, and maybe with an enhanced login protocol out. Oh, and throw in a Nisei Mark II token as well. What do? Well, my recommendation is you flip the table. Buy your opponent a new drink and have a good laugh about it. Thanks for watching.